Imagine turning gods into sashimi for a decade, only to wake up in flip-flops and a backpack. Our MC just regressed from a planetary graveyard to a world where hunters play soldier while he treats monsters like a mild inconvenience. Today, the sword god begins his mission, humbling anyone who thinks a rank C badge actually matters. The sky didn't just darken, it ripped. The world ended with a roar, not a whisper. Legions poured through the cracks. Civilization became a slaughterhouse. Most people died. I chose to breathe. The blade became part of my arm. Blood became my second skin. 1 month of carnage turned into a year. A year turned into 10. Seasons lost their meaning. There was only the rhythm of the kill. I stood on a mountain of corpses, the last monument of life in a planetary graveyard. I severed everything that breathed. Then the shadow arrived, the architect of the rot. He looked down at the ashes he'd made. He told me to surrender. He called me an insect. He offered me a place as his weapon. He called it mercy. I called it an insult. I didn't laugh because it was funny. I laughed because gods are always this arrogant. I charged. Steel met divinity. The earth screamed under the weight of the collision. I poured a ruined world into every strike. I made him feel the sting of a human. But reality is a cold mistress. Determination has its limits. He caught my blade. He caught my throat. He crushed me. He dismissed 10 years of struggle with a flick of his wrist. I fell. The darkness rushed in, but I don't know how to fade quietly. I lunged one last time. A blue light answered. It wasn't the end. It was a door. I opened my eyes. The smell of burning flesh was gone. The air was clean. The sky was a terrifying, peaceful blue. I was walking. My body felt light, foreign. No scars, no calluses. I looked down. Sandals, shorts, a backpack. I was a civilian in a city that hadn't burned yet. Sirens wailed, red lights flashed. A gate had opened. A disaster for this world. A Tuesday for me. I ignored the barricades. I ignored the alarms. Hey kid! I stopped. A group stood there. Armor, weapons, shiny gear. They call themselves hunters. I call them children playing soldier. They looked at me with pity. They saw a lost boy wandering into a grave. They whispered. They judged the flip-flops. They judged the lack of a license. To them, power is a letter on a card. One of them stepped forward. He wanted to be a hero. He warned me about the danger. He talked about rank C and rank F. He told me to start at the bottom, to follow the rules. I listened. I didn't care. His perspective was narrow. His world was small. I know you mean well, I said, but I'm not thankful. I turned my back on them. They were stunned. They called me a crazy bastard. The leader let me go. He thought the gate would teach me a lesson. He was right about the lesson. He was wrong about the student. I walked into the trees. The air changed. The pressure dropped. I knew the scent. It's the smell of a world without mercy. A shadow loomed. An orc. Massive. Armored. It looked at my new, fragile frame. It saw a snack. It roared. A sound meant to paralyze the weak. I closed my eyes. 10 years of slaughter flooded back. My muscles remembered what my skin had forgotten. The roar meant nothing. The size meant nothing. The beast swung. I moved. One motion. No hesitation. My fist met its skull. The impact was absolute. The head disintegrated. Blood sprayed the grass. The body hit the dirt with a heavy thud. I wiped my arm. The hunters outside worry about licenses and safety. They don't understand. In the ruins of my home, or in the heart of this city, the law is the same. The strong live. The weak die. Not a single thing has changed. This is only the beginning. The beast died. It was efficient. No drama, no struggle. The dust settled over the carcass, leaving only the silence of the inevitable. He reached down. His hand did not shake. Among the gore lay a jagged blade, heavy, unrefined. To a master, it was scrap metal. To this weak, new body, it was a tool. He checked the edge. Dull, chipped, it would suffice. He didn't care about the blood. He cared about what was inside. He reached into the dock and pulled out a red gem. A magic stone. In his world, this was debris, something to be kicked aside in a ruin. Here, it was the currency of strength. He pocketed it. No smile, no satisfaction. Adaptation is the first rule. The forest was quiet. It was never empty. He felt them. Heavy steps, the smell of unwashed muscle. 2 orcs. They stepped from the brush with the simple hunger of their kind. They saw a lone human. They saw a meal. They swung their clubs with the clumsy confidence of things that have never known fear. He watched the orcs. Slow, painfully slow. He did not panic. He simply occupied the space where they were not. Outside the gate, the professionals were talking. A woman spoke of rules. She worried for the civilian. The man beside her scoffed. If the intruder was weak, he was already dead. They placed their faith in the system. Rank B elites were on the way. Order would be restored by proper procedure. They imagined a man cowering in the dirt. They projected their own fragility onto him. They were wrong. Deep in the woods, the only thing trembling was the orc. Its primal instincts were screaming. The human wasn't running. The fist connected, a sickening crunch. No technique was required, just the application of force. The orc's head snapped back. The second one lunged. He grabbed its arm. Massive bodies are weightless to those who understand the flow of a fight. He rose. His leg descended like a guillotine. The heel struck the skull. The ground cracked. The monster went limp. He dragged his scavenged blade through the dirt. The fight ended before it began. 3 more stones. His eyes glowed with a cold, blue intensity. A start. Nothing more. The sky was bright and cheerful. It didn't care about the slaughter. He walked on. 12 low-grade stones, 16 mid-grade. The harvest was poor. Hardly worth the effort. Then, the interruption arrived. Men in suits, sprinting, out of breath. They moved with the arrogance of those who carry badges. The gate control center. They surrounded him. They saw a civilian in a t-shirt. They demanded identification. They demanded compliance. He saw a waste of time. The lead agent stepped forward. He didn't like the silence. He signaled for the cuffs. To them, this was an arrest. To him, it was a farce. The metal clicked. The agent reached out to subdue him. He gave them a warning. Any injury would be their own fault. The agent's hand closed around his wrist. The world tilted. He didn't strike. He merely twisted. The grip broke like dry wood. The agent stumbled. He told them to leave. It was a mercy. Authority does not like to be dismissed. The batons came out. Electricity crackled along the shafts. A rank 4 seal, designed to break awakened humans. They attacked together. He caught the baton with his bare hand. The surge was meaningless. He seized the agent by the collar and drove him into the earth. The others froze. The bored civilian was gone. He looked down at them. His shadow stretched long and dark. This was the final warning. Turn back or be broken. This is only the beginning. A civilian thinks they're safe. They aren't. The gap isn't about muscle. It's about the line you're willing to cross. He moved like a breath of wind. Dull thuds followed, the sound of children being reminded of their place. The agent started talking. Rules, laws, the association. He tried to hide behind paperwork, a mistake. To a man who watched the world end, laws are just cobwebs. Dojun grabbed his face. The ground was harder than the agent's logic. One impact. Finality. The agent screamed about revenge. Dojun didn't look back. A cockroach doesn't threaten a boot. But violence brings back ghosts. The White Abyss. A hero in golden armor, broken and ready to quit. He wanted oblivion. Dojun wanted a way back. He had a grandmother, a sister. The contract was signed in the void. The hero gave up his soul. Dojun took the burden. It wasn't a gift. Gasan Digital Complex. Capitalism fed by blood. Dojun walked through a city that sells its own destruction. He entered a shop. The clerk looked at him and saw a victim. Dojun emptied the bag. Red mana stones. Raw. Smelling of recent death. The clerk's hands shook. Greed is a loud emotion. He offered a joke of a price. 40% commission. Processing fees. He thought he was holding the cards. Dojun didn't argue. He just took the stones back. The clerk panicked. The prophet was leaving. He tried to invent fees, sorting fees, coffee fees. When that failed, he called for muscle. The back door opened. 3 C-rank heroes. The kind of men who sell their dignity for a paycheck. The clerk was smiling. The thugs were not. The leader looked at Dojun. He didn't see a boy in rags. He saw the end. The air in the room died. The clerk thought he had a trap. The thugs realized the truth. They were the ones locked inside. This is only the beginning. The clerk's hands are shaking. He gambled on a rank C hunter to save a few coins. He lost. The hunter is currently embedded in the floor. It wasn't a struggle. It was a dismissal. Dojun doesn't need to posture. He simply applies gravity to those who offend him. He steps over the wreckage of the man's pride. He doesn't look back. Obstacles don't deserve a second glance once they are cleared. He sets the new terms. 1% commission. The clerk nods. He is no longer a businessman. He is prey, hoping to be forgotten. Dojun promises to return. To the clerk, it sounds like a death sentence. The apartment smells of old walls and missed meals. Dojun drops a stack of cash onto the floor. A dull thud. The grandmother and the girl, Unyong, stare at the bills. To the poor, this much money looks like trouble. Dojun lies. It's easy. He invents a successful friend, a debt repaid. The grandmother wants to believe him. She touches the money with trembling fingers. The weight of years of poverty begins to lift. Unyong asks if they are rich. Dojun confirms it. He pats her head. The hand is used to a blade, but the body remembers the girl. They celebrate. He watches the joy he purchased with a moment of violence. He steps onto the balcony. The safest house in Korea costs 110 billion won. To a human, it's an impossible number. To him, it's just a matter of time. He checks his energy. A flickering candle. 1/10 of his original power. In a ruined world, he'd be a corpse. Here, it's just a minor inconvenience. Peace is always a temporary state. The metal gate rattles. Heavy fists. Dojun walks out. 3 loan sharks. Vultures picking at a dead boy's mistakes. They want 48 million won. They poke at his chest. They think they have the numbers. The leader swings. It's a slow, telegraphed movement. A child's tantrum. Dojun doesn't blink. He slips the guard. A heavy, wet impact. The leader hits the ground before his brain realizes he's been hit. The others freeze. The script has changed. The victim is biting back. Dojun calculates the debt. He's already paid enough. The ledger is balanced. His eyes glow with a faint golden hue. The sign of a soul that survived the end of the world. He tells them to inform their boss. He will be visiting soon. It isn't a negotiation. It's an appointment for judgment. The shopping mall smells of perfume and artificial sweetness. Unyong looks at a small rabbit doll. She has been trained by poverty to want very little. Dojun ignores the rabbit. He buys the largest bear in the store. Modesty is a virtue for those who lack power. They sit in a fast food restaurant. Burgers, fries, salt. Eunyoung eats with a focus that only the hungry understand. Dojun watches her. The apocalypse feels far away. Then, the shadows fall. A woman in expensive clothes stands over them, bodyguards in tow. She looks at Dojun like a stain on the floor. She mocks him. She asks who the child is. Then, she mentions his mother. Dojun stops chewing. The air around the table turns cold. The woman thinks she is winning a social encounter. She doesn't realize she is taunting a calamity. She is standing on the edge of a precipice. And she just decided to jump. This is only the beginning. So Dojun didn't just return to survive. He came back to treat the entire hunter system like a bad joke. Next time, he's giving his arrogant stepmother a reality check that might just be fatal. If you want to see a god dismantle the elite, smash that subscribe button, like the video, and tell us, would you survive a day in his sandals?